What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if we've been too hard on Gotham Knights as of right now. Now, the answer to me is honestly yes and no. I don't say that as a cop-out. I don't say that to try to, play both sides. You guys may know or may not know about me. I mean, I do try to see different arguments. I think I'm pretty chill in terms of, talking to and understanding that people can have differences of opinions. I feel like I kind of do that better than most people on YouTube, to be honest with you, to stroke my own ego there. But the discussion has obviously come out around Gotham Knights over the last week after we saw the gameplay presentation of, how do we judge it? How do we judge it so far? And there's a camp of, well, here's part of what I want to say. I do think it's fair to a certain limit to judge the game right now. I don't think it's obviously fair to judge it fully right now because the game is not out, okay? So you really have a couple different camps in the fight. One camp would say you can't judge it at all until the game is out. One camp says you can judge it completely, and there's probably a camp, like I said, like maybe me, in between, where it's like, well, you can judge some things, and I think you can look at the history, and that's, again, some of the stuff I want to do today. So let me start with the no, and again, there's different parts of this. Why do I think we haven't been, or, it's not crazy that we've been so rough on this game, is the history. I think the history and some of the things that we've seen so far. Now, again, you can't judge it fully. We'll talk about that on the other side, why maybe we have judged it too hard. But one thing we can look at is the history of Warner Bros. Montreal, the idea that, it's been, actually, when the game comes out, it'll have been an extremely long time since Arkham Origins released, okay? Forever, basically. And in the time, they've done absolutely nothing. Now, well, that's not true, right? Because they've done games that were canceled, which even resulted in the Damian Wayne game that was canceled that turned into what seems like Gotham Knights. So you could look at the history and say, all right, Arkham Origins, mixed game. I actually really like Origins. I actually don't have a problem with the quality of that game, so there was nothing really to, to get scared about there. But obviously, in terms of what they've done since then, how many of them are even still there? The people that made Origins, how many are actually still at that company right now? I would argue under half, at least under half. Now, that could be wrong. I don't know the numbers. Nobody's really said the numbers. I'm just assuming based off of, 9-10 years, canceled games, like 2 to 3 canceled games, and no actual game published. In that time, you probably lost a good amount of the people that originally were with you, and you replaced them with other people, all right? So that's one thing, is the last, 10 years of silence, there's really nothing to support that they're like some amazing company, like they've deserved so much goodwill that we automatically assume this game is going to be incredible. That's something I've actually been very vocal on, that I don't really think they've deserved. Benefit of the doubt is maybe too tough of a word, or too tough of a thing to say. They don't deserve our benefit of the doubt, but do they deserve for us to go in saying, no, they got this. They got this. The game is going to be phenomenal. They're a trusted studio. Honestly, there should be very few studios that you even think that. To me, I probably have a list of 5 to 10 developers max, absolutely max, out of the hundreds that exist in the world that I would say that. That's like, oh, it's coming from them. I trust them immediately. There's not a lot, and I don't think Warner Bros. Montreal is on that list, all right? Then you have what we've actually seen, and while, yes, it is a work in progress, and again, we will talk about that for why we maybe have judged them too hard. It is a work in progress. The person playing that, I think it's actually kind of widely agreed upon, whoever they had playing the Red Hood Nightwing gameplay needs to have not done that. They should have found somebody much better than that person. It was very obvious that that person had no idea, or they were trying to string together certain things, get certain people in certain positions, do certain moves, and it completely didn't work. But even just, again, what we've actually seen has not, I guess here's where I stand. While I know there's room to improve, all right? I think the game that we get in October is going to factually be better than the product that we got in the gameplay presentation, right? And there's other factors there. While I do agree with that, one thing I do think is sad, at least in my opinion, is this game has never, since the DC Phantom 2020, has never jumped off the page to me as something like I am obviously getting a day one. I'm excited for it. None of that stuff has ever been, fought against, but it's never been where it's like, holy God, this game is it's gonna change the game. This is a game of the year thing, or it looks like it. I don't really know how else I can say it, right? Something like that. This game has never done that to me. It's never super impressed me. Does that make sense? I don't want to sound too mean. I don't want to sound like I don't understand the other side of things, right? Because again, we'll get there this second half of the video, but I do want to make it clear, like, this is not a game to me that's really jumped off the page. Honestly, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is kind of similar. It's never massively jumped off the page where it's like, wow, that's a game that I absolutely need. Now, again, that's just my opinion. It could have done that for you, and that's totally cool. Now, let me talk about why I do think people have been too rough on it. And I want to bring up the example that I think I've brought up before and people have made sure to remind me of as well on Twitter, which I think is a phenomenal comparison, Guardians of the Galaxy. So Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the best games that came out last year. For me, it's tied for my game of the year last year. I made a video on it. You know, I love the game to death. That game turned out to be incredible. And the funny thing is, it's not the same vibe that I got from Guardians as I got for Gotham Knights, but it's close enough where you look at Guardians leading into it and you say, I just don't know. I don't know if it'll work. The gameplay, to me, the gameplay of Guardians looked awful. I mean, I was in videos. I made sure when I reviewed Guardians to say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said the gameplay looked bad, because it did. In my opinion, I mean, the gameplay looks bad, or looked bad, whatever you want to say. But when you play it, it just works. Like, the gameplay came together, and it worked. Plus, it didn't hurt that the rest of the game was phenomenal. Like, the story, characters, they were, like, miles above what I ever thought they could do. But even the gameplay specifically, which is important, right? Because for Gotham Knights, I think they have every capability. I think they have all the talent in the world to be able to pull off a story, to make the Court of Owls a cool villain, to make side villains cool, to have creative quests. I mean, I think they have the story stuff. That should be one of the easier things to pull off in Gotham Knights. Like, you know, putting aside Batman dead or alive, right? He's dead, 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 dead. Like, putting that aside, the idea, I really do think they can nail a story. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that difficult. And so, really, to me, it's just visually what we've seen of the game. Is the gameplay going to work? The traversal, you know, the gear. Now, again, some things aren't going to change. Some things are. Some things can be perceived badly and work out. So, like, the gameplay doesn't look outstanding. To me, the gameplay does not look bad. I would not go so far to say the gameplay looks bad. I think Nightwing does way too many flips. I think the person playing that last gameplay thing shouldn't have done it. But besides that, I don't think the gameplay looks like the word bad. I think it looks okay. You know, that's kind of where I don't think it looks good, I would say that. But I think it would look okay. Now, again, that's actually better than what I thought about Guardians of the Galaxy. So we could play Gotham Knights, and it could turn out to be phenomenal. And that, again, that's kind of the thing. That's it. Like, the story, we don't really, you know what I mean? Like, they can do that. We don't even know. They haven't really shown us it, right? So it's really just visually what we've seen. Stuff like the gameplay can just magically almost turn out to be good. Now, one thing that may not, again, a good counter argument to this side of thinking is, like, the gear, you know, with the rarities and the levels and stuff, that's not gonna change. You know what I mean? Like, or the idea, you know, they turned off the number popping off of characters, but you could turn that on or off. Like, that stuff doesn't change. So, like, if the gear is, it's off-putting to me. Like, I don't like I like the looks, like the suits look cool, but like in terms of, you know, levels and power level, you know, whatever it is, which is very compared to Marvel's Avengers, I'm not a fan, like, at all. And I don't, and to say, well, Alex, you can't judge it. I think you can judge that, because I don't think the gear is going to change all that much in 5 months. Maybe the gameplay is a little smoother. Maybe the visuals get polished a bit. And again, maybe the gameplay just looks kind of off, but then when you play it, it kind of just works. You know, like, you know, again, like a Guardians of the Galaxy, it could just magically work. And I don't say that as a negative. That can actually happen. The gear, though, you know what I mean? I don't really think that is the same thing. All right, so that's why it truly is. I'm not copping out. I'm not doing this to play both sides or to, you know, to be everybody's favorite, to not make anybody upset. I really think in some ways the game is probably judged too harshly, and some things could actually work out by the time it comes out. On the other side, I think, again, like, do they deserve a little skepticism? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, do they deserve this? I think they do, and because of history, because of what they've done, and even what this game looks to be. And then again, some things in this game aren't gonna change. Some things in this game that we've seen or we've heard about are the way they are. And I think it's more than fine to criticize it now, because it's going to be the same in 5 months. So ultimately, and I said this even on Twitter, I'm getting the game. You know, day one, there's never any doubt. I'm buying the game. I'm going to give it a chance. That was also never in any doubt, right? So hopefully they pull it all together, and you know, we'll see what they do over the next 5-6 months. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. If you want to follow me on any other of my social media accounts, all my links are in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you all on the next video.